Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Chris and Andre Show.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chris and Andre Show. As always, we are your loyal hosts. My name is Chris.
And I'm Andre. Thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Today we've got a special topic for the Big Rant with everybody losing their collective minds over a non-white ginger Little Mermaid in the new live-action Disney flick. We're going to talk about some representation and the controversy that apparently has to come along with it. And when we say representation, no, I'm not talking about when you shout representative at the phone while you're trying to get some human on the line while talking to your cable company's customer service automated hotline. No, we're talking about people seeing themselves in the movies and the pop culture that they enjoy on a regular basis. I think this is something that's come up a lot over the last couple of years in particular. Disney and Marvel have been releasing a ton of content, digging into the vault of characters that they can portray in movies and in the Disney Plus TV series. And that has inevitably brought some controversy with it as well. So we're going to touch on some of those things. We're going to talk about Little Mermaid. Might even get into some Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, maybe a little Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. Ooh, I don't know. Yeah, no, we definitely will.
You're such an idiot.
Yeah, well, I'm bringing some weird energy to tonight's podcast. What can I say? I think, the way that I kind of looked at this is I feel like each one of these things falls into a broader kind of top category.
Or a bucket.
Just bucket. I like buckets,
bucket,
right? Fuck it. We'll call them buckets.
Bucket.
Bucket. So we're going to start off with race, since that's where we start with the Little Mermaid. You were the one that kind of brought this to my attention, so I will let you kind of kick things off here. What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
I want to start with a disclaimer. We're talking about a majority of fantasy and or fiction properties, or both in some cases. And I don't understand when I first saw the D23 trailer for it.
Wish I could be.
I was like, oh, that's cool. And I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think about Halle Bailey. That's a cool name. Playing Ariel. I didn't think about anything else. I'm like, oh, that'll be interesting. Probably not going to watch it because most of the reboots of The Lion King and Aladdin have not been even a base hit on my radar. My wife tried to watch Pinocchio, didn't really care. It was kind of like, yeah, I've heard the story a million times. It didn't register to me that she was, well, I knew she was, I obviously noticed she was not white. But I didn't care, and I just moved on. I was like, oh, she's not white. And I just didn't care. But you give the internet enough time, and the haters are going to come out. And what blows my mind there is it's a mermaid. Like, legit, it's a mermaid. Let's start with that. I know from reading books on mythology and history that, and or both, that mermaids are not considered to be. None of them look like Ariel. None of them look like any other, famous mermaid, and that's the only one I can think of. I know there's others.
Mermaids. Sorry.
Or popular mermaids. It's just stupid, man. It's just like, it's a mermaid. Like, why does it matter what color she is? Like, why is that even a conversation? Why are you so upset about that? Why do people get so up in arms about race? Why is it that it seems like the anti-woke mob are the ones that are, starting these conversations? How is it possible that for an entire society to say, oh, we should move on beyond racial issues, that race comes up is a prevalent topic of discussion in something as non-important as the actress in a fictional movie?
I don't know. I mean, I'm with you in that. Like, I don't understand how you can and I understand that it's not everybody that's in the let's move past race is upset about having a black Ariel, but it's
seems like it.
There's a lot of crossover, that's for sure. And I also agree with your statement that like this is a mermaid, right? This isn't like some historical figure. Or like, you know what? Let's make Abraham Lincoln black.
I was just thinking. I was just thinking Abe Lincoln. I was like, man, it's not like we're rebooting Abe Lincoln.
Did people get upset when they made him a vampire hunter?
I mean, was just thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm with you in that. I guess I don't even know if I had seen anything about who was playing Ariel or the fact that she was not going to be a white girl or white mermaid until you sent the thing this morning, and then I was like, as soon as you sent it, I was like, oh boy, here we go, because it immediately I knew that this was just that like chum for the anti-woke mob on the internet. And I mean, it's pretty clear that people are more likely to throw a hissy fit about this kind of stuff on the internet, on Reddit, on whatever, Twitter, all that stuff, than they are to do it like to your face in person. I mean, they might after they've had a couple of drinks, but I don't know.
God bless you if you do that.
I just don't care. Like if you love the old Little Mermaid so much, go watch that.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like they're deleting that from, they're rounding up all of the copies of VHS and DVD that exist and they're burning it. We're getting rid of this. We're retconning this like as much as we can.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it's a fictional fantasy character. Like she could literally be any color that they, or like any race that they want to make her. I don't understand why it should matter one way or the other. I don't know. It's people get all up in their feelings about this stuff. I don't know if it's a sense of nostalgia, but I don't even feel like that's true.
It's not.
Is it like the unnecessary sexualization of these children's cartoon characters and stuff like that? And they're like, well, I don't want to admit that I might be attracted to somebody who's not white, and so.
Well, fun fact, in most of the articles I've read regarding like representation, sexualization is a part of it, right?
Man, I'm smart.
It's sad. It's well, it's not sad. It's like just say the quiet part out loud. I'm not attracted to black mermaids. Okay.
Okay, John Mayer.
Yeah.
I'm not racist, but my dick is.
Have I said this lately? Hey, John Mayer. I don't know if you ever apologized for that, but for that statement.
He hasn't.
Oh, he can go fuck himself.
I guarantee you he hasn't. I think I looked not that long ago, and he had not addressed it at all. Yeah, I mean, and like the Little Mermaid's not the only case where we've seen this. What was it? Titans, right? They made Starfire
black.
Not white. She's an alien. Like, what? I mean, I know people were upset in that Gore the God Butcher in Thor: Love and Thunder wasn't like more alien-like or more representative of his character in the comic books. But were they mad because Christian Bale is white? Like, what? No.
I think seriously. All right, so representation is not in entertainment has never been a priority for me. I can say professionally, I am aware of the fact that in most companies I've worked at and most roles I've been in, I'm typically the one of few non-whites in those arenas. Mm-hmm. But that's a real life situation. Now, does it change my work ethic or my work habits or routines? Probably not.
Right.
But do I lean or look for my entertainment to be like just solely, black exploitation type movies or no, I don't. It's like it's something I'm interested in. unlike Thor Love and Thunder, which I saw it last weekend, and it sucks. But who cares? I mean, it's just ridiculous that the things that people... I'll say this also. It's interesting that people that in technology, to be honest, they're pretty much racist. It's low-key a thing in the tech industry. It's a racist environment. So it doesn't surprise me that people that are taking advantage of these platforms to say and spew and do racist things are there.
Right.
So all that to say, she's a mermaid. Starfire's an alien, and she's beautiful. And let's move beyond that. And it's just some of the comments of like, well, she's too big. Well, wait a minute. Like, I thought white people were embracing the idea of thick. You're welcome, white people. But you know, because anyway, I just
that's great. I thought white people were embracing thick. No, you know, like in certain.
I'm right on the whole thick thing, though, right? Because
I mean, you're not
wrong. You guys
wrong.
were lost for a long time.
Yeah. It was the whole heroin chic thing for, you know.
Yeah, for a long time.
That was weird. But just, you know, make people look normal, I think is what we really should be going for here. You know, like I wonder how many of these people that are complaining about this or taking the time to, you know, change the trailer from a black actress to a white one. We're upset about Tilda Swinton in Doctor Strange.
Well, that's a slippery slope because the original. So Marvel did have a history and the states did have a history of playing the stereotypes and doing some performative. Like racism in their comics. Yeah. So it didn't really bother me. I get the change. I didn't like the rhetoric around the change, right?
I agree.
On the flip side, there were Asians that were kind of felt like they were excluded from the show or the movie or MCU, blah, blah, blah. And Shang-Chi, like, hopefully fixed that. But I was kind of like, whatever, you know. They're trying not to play into a trope, and
that I get. Like, I mean, I can like fully understand some of like the reasoning behind it, and I am not here to say that they shouldn't have done that or that I had a problem with it. I think it was more just that it's amazing how specific they are. Right? When you take a previously white character and turn it into something that isn't white, and then it's like, oh my God, you're trying to erase white people. And it's like, no, and I say we, like no, like that's not what this is. It's doing something different. Who cares? Ultimately?
Are white people that sensitive?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we are. I mean.
Huh. And I don't say that to be malicious or facetious. I'm just saying, like, what am I missing something? Like, what?
I don't know. I mean, because I feel like I'm missing it too. You know, like I'm sitting here trying to understand what it is that has white people so up in arms. I mean, like for me, you know, as the sole white representation here on the podcast.
That's by design.
I think it's... I wonder if it doesn't tie into this whole idea of like the replacement theory, you know? And white people being terrified that like slowly but surely we're being phased out of society and pop culture, and that, you know, this is all some big conspiracy to prepare people for the day that white people are just no more. And I'm just like, why do you care? What is so tied up in your whiteness that you can't bear the thought of not existing as a white person, right? Like, that's where I think it is amazing to me that they can sit there and say, we don't have a racial problem in this country. Racism isn't a thing. It's only a thing because we keep talking about it. I'm not racist. I don't know any racist people. Even people that might seem racist aren't really racist. You know, they just don't know any better. But then turn around and they're like, oh my God, I don't want to be not white. Life as a not white person is so much more difficult or so much different, or, you know, like, I'll have to face all these challenges. And it's like, so which is it?
That actually, I don't know, because I'm not white.
Wait, you're not white?
Yeah, I'm not. Never been. Nor have I played white on TV. But I will say that there is this is serious. Like, seriously, I think that there's it's understandable that people would feel that way, right? There's I get that part, but the lashing out, the vitriol, the just hate, it makes everybody just want to say to those group of people, go fuck yourselves. Nobody cares.
Right.
I don't think people are trying to replace white people. I just think that I do believe that a vast majority of the people that have these feelings are either low-key racist. And I actually put some links in the show docs. It's from Movie Bob. And the first one is Marvel fatigue, the internet is stupid. Now, this kind of ties into part of, like, this conversation, because people just they're choosing the media that they want to watch, the genres they want to watch, but they're being hypercritical, and they can always pull the brakes on it at any time they want. That's kind of how I feel about Star Wars. I just don't need any more Star Wars in my life.
Right.
And the second one is talking about and we'll talk about this later, the Rings of Power, where he touches on this topic where it's like, who cares about, a black dwarf? It's a dwarf. It's a dwarf. It's an elf. Like,
yep.
Stop. And then I also think, just with context, especially on the fantasy level of fiction, if you don't tie that into reality, you're saying Africa didn't exist prior to most European civilizations? Are you just that stupid?
I mean, the education system in the United States is not that great, so it's certainly a possibility.
But you see my point, right? So
yes.
If we look at it just from a purely logical and fact-based conversation, the most advanced civilizations in our history have been the ones from the continent of Africa, the Aztecs, the Mayans, and other indigenous groups in South and Central America. Not the fucking Europeans. Like, I hate to say it, a bunch of clowns in history. Potatoes, for example. Fun fact. Potatoes from Peru saved the Irish. Did you know that?
I mean, I knew they saved the Irish. I didn't know they were from Peru.
They were. They took the potatoes from Peru when they raped the lands of Peru. They took potatoes. Those potatoes are the ones that saved Ireland. So, your Great Famine, yeah. I'll see your border wall, right? All the things that, if you take the historical context, and people are so worried about being quote unquote replaced, it's fucking ignorant. It's stupid. It's just dumb. It's just like, you can't have one without the other.
I don't want to take this down like a super political path, because we've spent plenty of time doing that on recent episodes. I want to keep it mostly on the pop culture front. But I do think that it ties into this whole idea of politicians being able to generate fear in people about other groups, right? People that aren't, that at face value you can differentiate from yourself.
Fun fact, and I'm not going to derail what you're saying, but I think it was Marjorie Taylor Greene or Ted Cruz that tweeted something today about fear. And I'm like, I almost got into that and said, no, you guys fucking started it. You guys, you're right. Fear sells. Fear is cheap to repackage and distribute to get people to respond to. So yeah, sorry.
No, you're good.
But I'll be damned. I mean, Starfire, dude, like to see some of the comments, and I did some of the homework. I didn't look at all the comments because some of them got deleted because they're just pretty blatantly fucking racist. A lot of it is sexualization. The Little Mermaid, sexualization. It's just weird. Like the guy that did the whole AI, conversion.
The updation, the fixing, as the other person who shared the video phrased it. Oh, but I'm not racist. I just wanted to share how cool this technology was. I don't actually have a problem with it, but I'm going to phrase things in like he fixed it and he can fix the whole movie.
Yeah, because you can't wink it to a black person, you sick pervert. Like let's just call it what it is. There is a this
but
is
I bet you if we actually looked at what their top searches on Pornhub were. Also, how many of these people were actually going to sit down and watch this movie? That's the other thing that I want to know. Right?
As a grown-ass man, I am more than likely not going to watch The Little Mermaid.
I mean, like, maybe if my 9-year-old daughter, right, was like,
Right.
I want to watch The Little Mermaid. All right, cool. Let's sit down and watch it. And you know what I'm going to be doing 90% of the time I'm watching that movie? On my
your
phone,
phone.
watching something else.
Yeah.
Like, with my earbud in, just like, yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, I love this part of the movie. It's fantastic. And not because I'm racist or because I have a problem with it, because I just don't care. It's like you said, I've seen the actual Little Mermaid a million times. I watched the Little Mermaid cartoon growing up because that was the thing. I've read the Hans Christian Andersen version of the Little Mermaid, which is terrifying, by the way. Very disturbing things in that story.
The irony is the criticism of the movie before it came out was that it diverted so far away from the original story.
Yep.
And it was not a fun family film.
No.
I mean, but
and I get why Disney did that, right? Like, I understand you're making family films. You're not trying to, like, I mean, you did kill Bambi's mom 2 seconds into the fucking movie. But
Second Amendment.
yeah, that's right. The hunter has a right. He's just trying to feed his family. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. It's kind of ridiculous overall, and I've been really enjoying the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power on Amazon. And I did, I know. Here's the other thing that I was thinking when you were talking about this, right? What about the fact that 80 to 90% of the rest of the characters in these shows or programs are white still? Right? I mean, like, Rings of Power, most of the actors and actresses are white. There's like,
they're not just white, they're mostly British.
Well, that too. But that's yeah.
It's like super mayonnaise. They got all the mayonnaise on the sandwich.
Super mayonnaise. All right. We have to pause momentarily to bring She-Hulk Joe, who has apparently trademarked his name now. Very clever. Joe, welcome to the show. How are you, friend?
I've been MIA for the last few years.
Yes, we're glad you made it.
I'm surviving. I don't know. That's the best I can give you on that one. Also, the lighting was horrible in here. I'm working on it.
Well, let me just say this: it's good to see you, and work harder.
Yeah,
I miss work harder.
Joe, you're not trying hard enough, my friend.
Oh man. Well, so I missed a lot of the show talk. Obviously, you guys were talking about the Little Mermaid debacle right now.
We did talk about the Little Mermaid. We mentioned Doctor Strange and Tilda Swinton and people not necessarily having the same type of issue with that. We've touched on Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, which has been a damn good show. I think we all agree. And we will definitely do like a recap. Is it great or does it suck?
For me, it's a sleeper. I was not expecting it to be good.
That show was not a sleeper for me. I really expected it to be good.
After The Hobbit, I was like, you gotta prove me
Well,
wrong.
So this is why I thought it would be good. It wasn't a movie.
Wait. We don't want to save this for the.
No, I'm just going to give us a preview. It's because it wasn't a movie.
Yeah.
And so that would give them enough time to really...
It's as long as a damn movie, though.
Longer.
What was it, 2 hours for the first episode?
That was
Was
like an
it?
hour and some change.
I don't know. I rewatched the first episode last night because my wife had actually started watching it without me for some reason. I guess she doesn't love me anymore. And
You're so petty. Stop.
It happens. Wives, change their mind. That's all.
Stop it.
Don't worry about it.
nobody's feeling sorry for you, Joe.
Yeah. Remember, Joe, we're both divorced also. So.
We've been down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. You got to fix your shit.
Last night,
Work harder.
she went to bed, and I was like, I'm still up, and I was trying to decide what to watch. And I was like, you know what? Because I came in halfway through the second episode. And I was like, all right, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch the first episode. I want to get caught. I want to find out what's going on. Because, you get a general sense of kind of what's going on. They do a good job of explaining things as they're going, but certainly needed a little bit more backstory on a couple of things here and there, and that certainly helped. The thing that I think I want to bring back up that we talked about previously, but now that Joe's here, it's really important that we touch on this, was we did talk about Titan's Starfire because, Andre was disappointed when he searched our YouTube channel and discovered that episode that we recorded where you guys had it out, and I certainly participated as well over the casting of a non-white or non-alien, I guess, as Starfire in Titans. But yeah, so I don't know, Joe. Has your opinion on that changed at all?
You didn't finish that statement.
The statement ends.
You said something about the channel. You said something about the
Oh
channel.
yeah. That episode never got published.
Yeah. Loser.
Huh?
Yeah, it never got published. It's on the scrap heap somewhere.
Yeah.
I know.
That was a good quality material.
It is. There was some issues with the recording. I may try and I told Andre I'm not making any promises. Maybe someday I'll go back and try and fix it. But
it might unfortunately, it might actually be topical now with what's going on with the whole mermaid
well, and that's
thing.
why we're bringing it up here was because I figured at the very least we could rehash a little bit of it. Since we've got you here and Andre and I can prove you wrong again.
Well, it's not about proving him wrong. He's just part of the problem of the sexualization. the sexualization of Starfire.
First day back and just like,
This is what happens.
we miss you, buddy.
Yeah.
Hit you with a baseball bat.
This is what happens when you leave us for 3 weeks.
Yeah. So, now do I think that? All right. So all right. This is going to sound weird, but I understand how some fans are, for whatever reason, actually, OnlyFans is a good example. How people
Careful for phrasing.
I think he meant that.
They create the perfect person, or they find attributes in a character and they're attracted to that person. So I get that. So that's why OnlyFans is making so much money. I don't think that should carry over to fictional works, right? And I think it's unfair to bring those characters to life and say, well, I'm not attracted to that. Well, so what? That's not the point.
Stop sexualizing minors, because she was definitely not 18 years old in that first movie.
Yeah,
exactly.
And obviously, the
young.
character in the show was over 18. She was a grown-ass woman. But yeah, I agree, and I think that's part of where what we were talking about earlier with the Little Mermaid is there's that there's an element of that in some of these people at least, where it's like, man, I used to the Little Mermaid back in the day, and I was really looking forward to being able to do that with a live action Little Mermaid. I mean, there's a reason I'm not allowed in Disney parks anymore. Those character meet and greets got real disturbing for a while there.
You slip somebody's number in your bra strap.
Yeah.
No, get out of my shell, bras. So I don't know much about. I'm not going to begin to start talking about that aspect of it. I'm more so I was actually thinking about it on the way here. I think just people get so used to a certain image in their mind's eye about what a character is and their, how they look, that when you change it without any advanced knowledge,
but why?
People have knee-jerk reactions.
Why did they create that image of the? You see, that's the actual. That's the dilemma,
it's simple because
right?
It's an image from your youth, and a lot of people don't like changing things from their youth. It's the same reason I hate the fucking new RoboCop, and I prefer the old RoboCop, because while yes, the storylines are pretty much similar, exact same story twice over. It's not the same.
Hey, you're lying.
It just doesn't. It doesn't sit well. What do you mean? I hate RoboCop.
But think about the most of the detractors in most of these conversations aren't women. They're men. That is unfortunately a fact, and it's because they have sexualized said character at whatever level. Now,
possibly, but it also could be that there's more men in nerdom, or at least
they're
outspoken. Yeah, because there's 3 of us talking right now, and there's no girl.
But that's not by design.
Okay, so I think,
but it's by nature.
I think, Joe, you mentioned something kind of at the end of that sentence about I think there are more outspoken males when it comes to nerddom than there are necessarily outspoken females historically, and like I do think that's changing a little bit. But I understand what you're saying. I mean, you go to most...
I would say it's changing a lot slower than need to. Hell, look, just type in Jessica Chobot and look at her history. There's so many podcasts and shows that she's been...
Right.
She just stops going to because of how toxic men can get, how they can hypersexualize her. Now, we're not going to debate how famous Jessica Chobot is. She's one of the most famous women in nerdom, period. But if she can come out and say that, it's been difficult, like there's times where she wants to just quit doing this altogether.
Lily from the AT&T commercials.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there is a history and a track record of men just being, I don't think creep is the right word.
Aggressively sexualized.
Yeah, it's just like, dude.
Or maybe aggressively fetishizing.
Yeah, because if somebody's nice to you or they're doing their job, it doesn't mean they want to smash you. Like that's kind of the reality.
And you would think that most men would understand that at some point.
They don't, because that's why. If that was true, OnlyFans wouldn't be a point of conversation.
I get that. I'm just saying that, like, I went through a phase, right, where like I'd go to a bar and there'd be a cute waitress and she'd be like, friendly, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna leave my number on the ticket, right? Yeah, when I was like 21 or 22, and then I immediately realized like that's not how this works, and ultimately, like, what are you really basing this off of? Like, she's just trying to be nice so she gets a tip, like.
Yeah, and so maybe that's a big part of it. I'm not trying to, Joe. I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just saying, like, if we should call a spade here. I think that a big motivating factor.
That's fucking racist.
Sure.
I would. Let me say this real quick. Obviously, and we all share different nerdums, but we're all different in our own little ways. And I'm pretty sure we all can find one example of how toxic men can get for no reason.
Poor Tina.
I know, right? Why do men have to ruin everything?
I don't know, but we kind of do.
What's with us? Arr!
All the war.
All of the war, and this too.
And it's unfortunate. It's something we're definitely growing past. I mean, we see more female gamers in the limelight as it is now with Twitch and all these other streaming platforms. So there's progress, but I think there's always going to be this percentage of men. I love the comment, they're incels and all that. There's always going to be those at-home crusaders who just don't want to see things change. But just because Little Mermaid's changing now doesn't mean the old stuff is going to be gone. You can still go back to it. Disney's always going to sell, Ariel plushies on their shelf right next to the new Ariel plushies.
Like, I don't want to think about what those guys are doing at home with those plushies.
Yeah. Same thing Deadpool did with his unicorn plushie.
Whoops. You weren't meant to see that.
So the thing, there's another show that has attracted the ire of the nerddom, like racism and weirdo shit. It was. We talked about it briefly. The Rings of Power. I think it's a great show. You know, it's like.
Wait, what's wrong with the Rings of Power?
There's black elves, damn it. There's a black dwarf princess.
What's wrong with that? That's amazing.
Dude,
You can't do that, man.
You can't. No, stop.
Where
He's a badass.
where does that person come from? Right?
From wherever the fuck the elves come from.
Right. No, I know. It's stupid.
If I want to be a douche, I want to be like, what about dark elves and everything from Oblivion to D&D?
That's racist. You can't.
There's always
you can't call them
there's
dark
always
elves.
been. That's what they call them. That's what they're called
I
in
know.
D&D and in Skyrim and Oblivion.
No, I know.
And then on
I
the
played as
other
a
side of the spectrum, you have House of the Dragon, which is another good show. I know it's a
Hot
it's a
D. Give me some of that hot D.
yeah. That they should probably change the name of that show.
Joe's
'Cause I-
face is just like.
I will never say Hot D.
I just realized what you were saying there. Yeah, House of the Dragon. Hot D. Oh shit. Okay. I haven't had the privilege of watching this show.
so the
but
show
now
notes has
when I
got
do,
GOT
all
Hot
I
D.
hot D.
Got Hot D.
got hot D. Put that on a shirt before somebody else does.
Jesus Christ.
Anyways, I've only
Fucking
seen the
dog.
first episode of that. I heard, Joe, you just said that you haven't caught any of that yet, so we won't spoil anything.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful show.
Oh no, go ahead. I know how the show ends.
Yeah, because it's like watching the Titanic, right?
I was like the first episode was a little hard to watch at points, not because it was like poorly done or anything. But
Were you
just,
okay with seeing black Targaryens?
Wait, is that a thing?
Yeah, I'm fine with black Targaryens. I was talking more about the like medieval
asking.
Caesarean.
I'm talking about representation.
No, I know.
That part was a little bit too much to handle.
Yeah, and I guess like the other thing that the original Game of Thrones to some degree kind of ruined HBO's like nudity.
You mean the fact that they had it all the time and
Yeah,
for
it
no
just
reason?
stopped being like now I watch it and I feel like I'm my parents watching it. You know, where I'm like, oh, seems slightly
Really?
inappropriate.
I would say they set a precedent that people are used to now.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's gratuitous, if anything, is what it feels like to me. It feels unnecessary, and I'm just kind of like, okay, whatever. Like,
And maybe it's because I'm a little bit older, or maybe I just don't care. Like, maybe it's a cultural thing, right? Nudity is not something that just like I think about that much, right?
that's all I ever think about.
I knew it. I knew you were gonna say that. I was thinking about saying it, but I was like, no, I'm just letting
Chris will
say it.
do it. I don't have to step on that landmine. Let the white guy take the fall.
Yeah,
You're impervious.
Yeah.
You got
he
plot
got
armor.
to power up before the episode today. He's like, let me hit this mushroom. So, great
I got
spot for
Eagly here
Mario.
protecting me. So.
Yeah. I think that people overreacted, and I think that sexuality in general, it's definitely, it differs in cultures,
Sure.
right?
And I didn't have a problem with it the first time around. I think I shouldn't even say I had a problem with it. I just
It
don't.
didn't register.
I just don't care for it anymore. I'm just like, okay. Like the first time around, I was like, ooh, like fairly graphic sex scenes. That's kind of crazy to see. And now, like, I think to Joe's point, it's like they just kind of like used it to the point where I'm like, all right, yeah, like I get it. They're banging in the brothel, like, yeah.
But don't you think? And this is just a thought, right? The way that different groups look at sexuality it also is a reflection on like the same groups and how they like look at things like sexual harassment or just things between the genders and
Oh, I see. We're talking about the light topics today.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying. So for that show, like the thing that if Chris was a critic of that show, that would be something he would bring up. I just moved past it. Like I really don't care.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sitting here like, I don't know if I'd bring it up, and I'm literally bringing it up as we're
You're
talking
bringing it
about
up,
So
right?
that would be silly for me to make that argument. Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. I don't know. I think I would rather spend those 3 to 5 minutes
That's what she
actually
said.
tell it. Yeah, right. actually telling more story than watching Matt Smith like bang some whore in a brothel and then not be able to complete like.
But you called her a whore.
She works in a brothel.
Or are you like just projecting on Matt Smith?
I don't know. He was literally in a brothel banging a whore.
I'm just saying.
When I say whore, all I can picture is Danny DeVito in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's like, he always pronounces it whore.
Dennis, your mother is a dirty, dirty whore.
Oh, God damn it, Dad.
I just can't believe this.
Hey, Dad, keep your
you
voice down.
whore!
It just always fucking cracks me up. Whore. She's a whore.
Well, I think that the what's my point? I think it's my
You didn't
point
see
is,
any black whores,
you're right.
Ooh.
right? Where's the representation there?
Are you saying that black people can't sell drugs?
No, I'm not saying that.
If we have a black president, why can't black people sell drugs?
I'm so confused.
Black people can sell drugs. Black people can sell drugs.
Black people can sell drugs!
That's another show I haven't watched. Probably won't because of that.
It's so good.
But there was a lot of there was pushback on the show because of the black Targaryens. There was some critique from black people saying that the blonde dreads, they could have been better. I'm like, well, that's a silly argument. I mean, like, whatever.
I mean, they did have a black dragon, so we got some representation there.
Yeah, for all those. I think that the argument can be lost because I don't think it's just a black or white thing.
No,
right?
it's certainly not. There's a lot of
Because
we started on this race bucket, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm
right?
excited about the new Black Panther, right? I think that's going to be the sleeper hit of the year because they have a Latino actor. They're representing the Aztec.
Playing Namor, yep.
I mean, they're gonna actually bring something that I'm looking forward to seeing. And I can't wait, but it's not a representation thing because it's like,
right, because that's just the character. It's essentially right, like
right.
In a sense, it kind of falls under the representation because you're putting them in a major motion picture. But I understand what you're saying. It's not this like, oh, we're kind of swapping out what was previously, an exclusively white role for.
Well, Submariner was ambiguous. He looked Asian in some prints. He looked Caucasian in other prints. He looked like he could be like Latino in other prints, depending on the artist.
Yeah, he was always racially ambiguous.
Yeah, so I think it's cool that they're going to actually bring a little bit of context to it, and they have that freedom to do that.
Yeah.
And again, I will say that House of the Dragon and Rings of Power are well written. The stories are, they have their pacing issues, but I find it interesting that the same pocket of fans or that same demo is just like, oh, you can't have a black elf, you can't have a black dwarf, you can't have
a black Targaryen.
A black Targaryen. Like, that's just stupid. Because if you think about you think about Game of Thrones, the people who was the family that was of assassins.
A family of assassins.
With the chicks that were just like pretty badass.
Oh, the Vipers.
Oh yeah, the Sands.
Sand snakes, right?
The Martells.
That was a bananas family. Like, they were not like, were they? I mean,
they cut them out of the show compared to how much time was actually spent on that family and those characters in the book.
Yeah, that's pretty much like a good chunk of one book.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
did
they
not know
cut
that.
them out.
Yep.
Didn't ever read the books.
Which sucks too because the guy who played the king was my homeboy from DS9, Star Trek DS9. So I was so happy to see him back in film.
He was a captain, right?
No, he was the king. That guy.
No, who was he in DS9?
Oh, he was a doctor.
Oh, okay.
He was the chief medical officer.
Okay.
Yeah. He was also in that. What's his name? Chadwick Boseman flick, the 12 Bridges or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Was he? I haven't seen that one yet.
That's good.
That's actually a good
That's
flick,
a really good film. That one is good.
Yeah, so
I can buy it for $1 at Redbox right now.
or you can just. Well, I'm not gonna do that. So the other
I have a stack of Redbox movies. I like
the other part to this puzzle is religion, and this is a tricky one. And I want to start with Kamala Khan. And because I don't know, actually, so Miss Marvel is like probably the biggest target of hate. And let me just kind of interject. All the review bombing, dude. If you're out there doing that, eat all the bags of dicks. You deserve every one that you're going to eat because that is so terrible. I mean, unless
what was that rap lyric? If you're spending your time hating online, you're not you're not a person who gets the W in real life.
It's probably true. I mean, you're a loser. Like, you're just a straight out loser. And I think Miss Marvel was a good show. Not everything was for me, but I enjoyed the show.
Not everything hit, but
yeah,
overall, it was a really well put together show. That
my favorite thing about that show was the religious parts. That was intriguing to me because no other Marvel property has hit on that religion to any of that extent. So that was appealing to me. And actually, when they strayed from it and started going to the generic Marvel tropes, that's when I started getting disinterested in the show.
I agree because I thought it was really interesting seeing something that I'm not super familiar with. Right, like I felt like it was a good vehicle for getting like not obviously I'm not going to walk away and be like that's exactly what life is like for everybody that's part of that faith, but to have a glimpse inside some of that from those characters' perspective, I thought was really cool alongside the rest of like the superhero storytelling that they were doing.
And if you're going based on the comic, that's what Kamala Khan was first introduced to Marvel Comics for, is to widen people's horizons. And that's why she was one of the most popular characters like in history, like right next to Miles Morales.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't think the show does a good job copying that but it does a decent enough job that where I'm still thinking about it afterwards. I wouldn't say it's in my top 5, but it's
we know
it left its mark.
We ranked them.
What do you mean we know?
I have friends that are Muslims and I have neighbors that are Muslims, and I think that it's interesting that when that's not your faith or that's not something you practice, just the unfamiliarity and the getting past the comfort barrier is important. I think it's not something that you should hate on and say that I'm a judo Christian and or I'm Jewish and blah blah blah. It's like no, that's fine, but your faith is your faith, and
not all characters of pop culture that you enjoy have to represent your faith, right?
Right. And I think Miss Marvel was a good representation, in my opinion, and not speaking as a Muslim person, but speaking as a person that has done life with Muslims. I thought it was honorable, a lot better than
the Da Vinci Code.
Moon Knight. Oh. I mean, I think your boy was Jewish for like 4.2 seconds, or like.
I have a yarmulke. Take it off. All right, I'm not Jewish anymore. That was a little disappointing for me, only because I had read so much about, like some of the elements of his character and whatnot from the comics that were kind of based in that, and so I thought that we were going to get a little bit more. I think even Kevin Feige had kind of hinted at like, just wait to see what we do, and I think ultimately that felt flat at the end.
It kind of felt as flat as the little girl in Miss Marvel saying, what did she say? Are you a Muslim superhero? What was that scene?
It was in Moon Knight.
Oh, it was in Moon Knight?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for the terrible CGI.
The Scarab.
Yeah, God.
The Crimson Scarab? What was her name, Joe?
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
God, that was terrible.
Thanks for participating, Joe.
So I was just thinking about the hippo and how people made that.
I was just thinking earlier today.
I told you sexualized the hippo.
Course.
Like you literally sexualized the hippo.
Who would win in a fight? The Crimson Scarab? No, or Falcon?
Oh, I mean, it'd be tied because it's the same moves.
Well, right, but I think the Scarab would win because she has an Egyptian god on her side.
I would say when two minorities fight, we all lose.
Well, that's fair.
Oh, that was stupid.
That shuts you off.
That was great. I love that. Yeah, so I think so. Okay, so Captain America 4, right? This was something that came up recently. This was I think the first thing you sent over this morning, right?
Yeah.
The first article was talking about Sabra.
Scarlet Scarab.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Crimson, Scarlet, same thing.
Because when you say Crimson, I'm thinking Crimson Dynamo. That's a Iron Man.
Yeah, me too. It's like in my mind, like that can't be right.
That's not right. But yeah, so like they've got this character Sabra, right? That is coming in from the comics. She's going to be in Captain America 4 with Sam Wilson as the new Captain America, and yeah, I guess
we don't have to call him the new Captain America
right.
anymore. He is Captain
America. Sorry.
Yeah.
That speech he gave alone was worth it.
Yeah.
That was a damn good speech. Which people gave a lot of shit about.
Of course.
Why? Because stop telling us that we're racist. I mean, okay.
If we just stop talking about racism, it'll go away.
This is how the conversation starts. You should stop saying we're racist. It's literally all it's like, okay, like we're going to stop now.
Yeah. We'll stop talking, but only to you. But yeah, so like this is interesting because I'd never heard of this character before. Despite, my small collection of comics up here behind me, like I'm relatively new to like a lot of the comic book characters. I was very focused on Superman and some X-Men stuff kind of growing up. I've been starting to branch out a little bit more. You see, I got my Deadpool, some Peacemakers, some X-Force.
You should get rid of the
Shut up.
Peacemaker.
This Peacemaker is so freaking dark. Oh my gosh. It's like seriously messed up.
I won't derail you.
It's not the show, let me tell you that much.
Activate Sonic Boom!
This whole Sabra thing. So she is an Israeli superhero, right? A Jewish Israeli superhero with, in the comics at least, very strong ties to the Israeli government. And she actually was like an agent of Mossad at one point, or working for them. And that's got a lot of people feeling all sorts of ways about Marvel's choice to include her in the MCU in Captain America 4. What are your guys'
she's anti-Palestine.
Yeah,
Palestine.
exactly.
Okay.
So like, what are your guys' takes on this? Because I do think it's really interesting. Obviously, Marvel could choose to play this a certain way to downplay some of those things. They don't have to take the character directly out of the comics. But I'm just kind of curious to get your guys' take on this because both of you are a little bit more savvy when it comes to some of these characters.
Here's my take. Historically, in context, most of their writers in the time when she was coming about, and even prior to that, were Jewish, right? Marvel had what I would call a brief stint in history where they played to a lot of tropes, and they tried to really make political statements through their art. With that said, I also want to give them an opportunity to see how that plays out now, and because I don't know, like, Chris and I know a person that's from Palestine, and I can't pretend to know what it's like to be Palestinian and or like the issues of that community or culture or country, or like I don't know, but I will trust that the track record that Marvel has trying to entertain people from different walks of life, it'll probably be fine. But I don't think you should exclude one character for
too many beers.
Sorry,
said too many
beers.
Yeah, I know. Like, oh man, I don't. And I'm drinking. I'm gonna put them down. I don't think you should.
Yeah, you are. I'm impressed.
I don't think you should exclude one character just for like future outrage.
Yeah.
And again, don't know how they're going to play that out.
Right.
But I do feel confident that they'll try to not F it up.
Okay, so I would consider this a non-argument.
Yeah.
I can understand why people are upset, but they need to get their panties out of a wad because it's just a character. And I know people are trying to make it the whole thing about anti-Palestine and Disney Marvel's making a statement. Look, man, Disney by itself has a long history of anti-Semitic like commercials and product placements and outright policies. That's not new. That's not new. But at the end of the day, things change.
Right.
So I know that it's a very sensitive topic for a lot of people in the world. But leave that in real life. This is
it's entertainment.
Imaginary entertainment. It's at most what it will do is just make let's be honest, Disney is not going to push any buttons with this one. They're going to at most make a light commentary on the state of things in real life and then move on. I mean, look at Captain, the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier. They touched on cruelty to black people perpetrated by the American government in World War II. They could have gone a lot further. If you read The Truth, which is the book that came from, it gets so much darker and so much more racist. And if that's what you're interested in, it is good that this program has hinted that for you. It has opened that avenue for you to invest your time into if you so choose. And I'm perfectly fine with that. But there's a fine line between forcing it into people's face, saying this is what you got to accept, things have changed, the world's different now, and people saying we don't want to see any of that because we don't like things to change. I think Marvel's doing a good job skirting that.
I agree with Joe in spirit. I think that there is a responsibility of. So if you look at the role, so for example, Monday night I didn't watch the Emmys, right? Because I think it's bullshit.
Does anybody?
Yeah, you had better things to do with your time, like
watch the Broncos, but we're not talking about that. I actually watched that was Monday Night Football. I'm like, you guys need to do better.
That was terrible timing on their part.
Yeah,
you could do better by watching Shaft.
I've seen that.
Oh, that's such a great
movie.
Great fucking movie.
I think there's a so you've got that, right? Like, so some people say, well, some shows are this, they're a marker for this and blah, blah, blah. For example, at the end of September, there's going to be a documentary on HBO Max about Jim Jordan ignoring the sexual assaults at Ohio State. So there are avenues to kind of put those things out for messaging from studios or creators, whatever. I also think that as a person that lives in the States, we have a biased view of conflicts in the Middle East.
Oh, sure.
And I don't say conflict slightly. I say it because I don't have the full context of what it's like to be Palestinian in that area. I don't have the context of what it's like to be Iraqi or Iranian or Persian in that area. I don't have the context to say what it's like to be from Pakistan or Afghanistan in those areas. I don't want to project my Western world view on something that I'm not totally versed on.
That's very.
But I would like.
No,
it's not.
No, it's not. I'm being an ass.
It's totally anti-woke. Yeah. It's like, it's anti-woke. Woke is just saying like, oh, somebody changed their avatar on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram to the Ukrainian flag, and I'm all about Ukrainian, but not even.
Yeah, I never do that. It just seems insincere.
Or like, and like changing your fucking flag didn't stop the Paris attacks. Changing your fucking flag hasn't stopped the Ukrainian war. Making your avatar black on Instagram didn't stop violence from the police against black people or non-whites in this country. Speaking up and retweeting something about Asian Americans getting beaten up and killed in the streets hasn't fixed a fucking thing. But to be aware of it and to acknowledge it is something different, right? To Joe's point. Now, like, let me educate myself more on what this actually is. Woke is just like, I'm going to change my avatar.
Right.
You know, I'm all about
I was
Ukraine.
just making a joke.
Woke
so
is
I'm
actually
sorry
more of
that
a way
I
for.
obviously have
No, I want it. Well, I don't get a lot of.
Don't you white man guilt this? Don't you white man guilt?
Damn it, Joe! You saw right through it.
and I'm not trying to bash you for that.
No,
I'm just saying,
I know.
like the whole the woke thing is, it's like, fucking shut the fuck up. Like, most of the people that are causing all these problems are the anti-woke club, right? They're so ignorant to what they're opposing. It's fucking frustrating.
Yeah.
And it's fleeting. It's not like they'll stay like that forever. They'll move on to the next thing they hate.
Right.
I mean, hell, I was in Walmart and they were selling the tiki torches for $1.24. All I can think about was, wow, somebody's going to be very happy this month.
I know. I can't look at tiki torches the same anymore. I'm sorry. Like, I really can't.
Yeah, I'll never buy a fucking tiki torch. But I do think that Marvel has a good opportunity here, and I think that, to Joe's point, we should stay the course. And hopefully, it's not the fans' decision to dictate how they're going to, like, present the story, right?
I think that Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness and John Krasinski would like to have a word with you.
Meet me outside. Shit. It
No,
really is.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly that I think ultimately it's not like, yes, you as a fan are there to consume the end product, right? But your goal is not to dictate what it is that they present to you. Like, what you should hope is that, you know,
it's good.
Yeah,
that's your expectation.
Exactly. That you get something out of it that you find enjoyable, and that's it. You know, like,
as much shit as I talk about Thor: Love and Thunder and my disdain for Taika Waititi,
it was a good movie.
It was an awful movie for me.
But you wouldn't sit there and be like, you can't make that movie, Marvel. Like, we need to cancel Taika Waititi. Waititi. Let me just mispronounce his last name a million times. Fuck you, New Zealand, and all your people.
You guys, you know, we're talking about all this, like,
But he's so right, though, because, like, I was on my shit with that fucking guy, yo.
It was so bad. I was just
but
like,
when I fucking watched the movie,
YTT.
but when I watched the movie, what did I do? I text you because I'm like, yo, this shit was awful, yo.
I mean,
anyway. I'm telling you, the goats are the best part.
Watching the Honest trailer.
No, honestly, the best part was the hammer, the sassy hammer.
That shit got
Stormbreaker?
old.
Yeah, just Stormbreaker being all sassy and shit. I love this.
I don't know. Those were honestly, like, what? No, I'll be honest. Like, the goats and the sassy hammer were not the highlights of the movie for me. Like, there were other parts that I really enjoyed. I'm not saying that
you mean like the villain that's actually relatable, the anti-Thanos?
Well, that's. I mean, even Thanos, you're kind of sitting there like, I mean, he's not entirely wrong. Like, you know, we're gonna run out of resources at some point. Isn't it better that we just kind of like, you know, half?
Well, I want to let me interject for a second because I know we're talking about when it comes to race and cinema and what people expect from their heroes. There is no show that I think in recent years has gotten as much heat as Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, I heard it's getting shit. That's the one with the captain with the braids.
Yes, and her name is Michael Burnham, which is just so much about that people don't like they unpack very uncomfortably. But I'm a huge Star Trek fan, and the amount of negativity that was around that first season of the show made it so toxic for me to even think about that I never watched it.
It's on Paramount Plus, right?
Yes. So because I had Paramount Plus, I was like, it's there up there. And I was like,
Picard's pretty good. You and three other people.
I was like, Picard's pretty decent. I don't love it, but it's pretty decent. And I was like, let me see what Discovery's like. And I have been hooked. I binge watched the entire first season in 2 days. Like, wow. I absolutely love Discovery, and I can see. It's like now that I'm looking back at things hindsight, I'm seeing where people have selected parts of the show to hate and criticize, and I realize it's racist. It's so nuanced to a point where it's like the only reason you're bringing it up is because you are being racist.
Okay, and so that's not nuance. That's just like that's determinate. Like, there's
nothing about the character that screams I'm a black person on screen.
Yeah. Okay.
She's being as
like Starfire.
Normal as. Stop. Stop.
Got him.
I didn't say she comes out of she doesn't come out of her quarters with hooker boots on.
Oh, come on. Joe just doesn't like black women. Racist.
Obviously.
So.
Wait, didn't you say you dated a black woman once?
Yeah,
that's
huge
that's what every racist person says.
But,
what was her name?
Angelique.
Let's fact check that.
Pixar, it didn't happen.
Okay. I'm actually trying to make a wholesome point.
Okay, I'm sorry.
This is not the show for that, Joe.
You guys. Yes, it is. So, the point I'm trying to make is that I see all the things that people were selecting to make into a bigger problem than what they were actually was. The show is fantastic, and while it may not be traditional Star Trek, it is a evolution of Star Trek that we had all expected to see at this point. I can see where they'd even like credit to the old stuff. They're trying new things. I'm okay with it. Like, the whole tardigrade lawsuit aside, I see what they were trying to do with that, and I see how they pivoted, and I give them credit for that. So, being the person that ran the whole hashtag Not My Domino before the Deadpool movie came out, being the same person.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he was also very racist.
Being the same person who does not like the new Starfire design.
It's a person. Racist.
I am absolutely in love with Michael Burnham on Discovery. She's doing an excellent job, and I think she should be the example to. She should be the example to be used for how you design other characters like that.
So do you feel like now is an appropriate time for you to go back and apologize for the stances that you took previously on Domino and
I think you just got a level-handed. I wouldn't say apology, but it's
acknowledgement.
It's acknowledgement how things have changed.
All right.
Okay, that's fair. So you're getting beyond your hate.
Just to be precise, this is a black human character raised by Vulcans, an all-white family of Vulcans. So
how can a Vulcan
So basically,
be white?
in your mind, this is an acceptable level of blackness.
I swear to God,
this is a tolerable black actress.
Yeah, because she was raised by white people. It's perfectly
fine. Andre gets my reference there.
Yeah, that guy should have got punched in the face. So we had a former coworker that the sales team worked in this open room, and if you walked in, you could look and see what's on people's computers. They have this Bluetooth speaker that everybody just play their playlist. And I walked in, they were playing like what, Will Smith or something.
I don't remember. I wasn't there.
Was it Big Willie style?
It was something corny, right? And I'm like, yo, who's controlling the music today? And it was this one kid. And I walk over to him like, oh, you got to be kidding me, right? You know what his playlist was called? Tolerable rap music. I was like, that is the most racist fucking shit.
And this was this kid was literally a 311 like groupie. Like he followed the band 311 around throughout like college, and just wherever they went, like he went and followed them and listened to them and just, whoa, amber is the color of your energy.
Yeah. So.
Oh my God! Please stop.
All right. So I don't. Since you're half Peruvian, I'm not gonna like go in on you, but I will say that. So the She-Hulk thing, like with the episode with Megan the
final bucket.
Yo,
gender. I mean, a lot of these other ones can fall into that. You
didn't like
too.
Madison? You didn't like
Madison?
Madison?
That was funny. That
Madison
was quirky
was
funny.
That was very funny.
Yo, I will tell you that show's it's a 2-hit single, right? A 2-run single. I think it's a great show. There are things that they're like, whatever. I love it. I would watch it again and again. It's like it's good.
There are still some moments with the CGI where I'm like,
yeah,
the Uncanny Valley for sure. Especially when she moves.
People are
through the bars.
Yeah,
dark rooms do not do well for her.
People are like legit, like they're ragging on She-Hulk.
Is it because of the twerking thing?
Yes. Yeah, people lost their minds over that for multiple reasons. I mean,
he almost tasted that. Num, eat it up. Go play okay, 3, 2, 1. You know I'm the hottest. You ain't never gotta heat me up.
Oh, you are way more fun than my last lawyer. I will kill for you, Megan Thee Stallion. Dial it back.
I see nothing wrong
no,
with
there is nothing wrong with it. That's the whole thing. Is that like this article that I have in here? I don't remember where this was from. Let me see. Screen Rant, right? So they were talking about how not only is this like the pop culture injection with Megan Thee Stallion like so on brand for She-Hulk, but that like it is a comedy. That's what this show is. Like the whole vibe of the show is comedic. So, and this is not like a critical plot point, right? Halfway through the episode where they're like, oh, she twerks, and that sets off this whole chain of events that, no, this is literally, this is literally a tag at the end of the episode after the credits. Just as like a throwaway where it's like, oh, wouldn't it be hilarious if She-Hulk is in there learning how to twerk from Megan Thee Stallion? Like,
she didn't have to learn, though. She was doing it. I was like, yo, she can get it.
I mean, so for the record, I have no idea who this Megan Thee Stallion was.
The Stallion.
The Stallion.
That's what I said.
No, you said the.
No, I said the.
No, you said the.
I said the.
No.
You didn't emphasize it enough.
Yeah, because I didn't care.
I think the underlying thing on that, and I will say this, like I hate the term culture vulture. I think it's kind of derogatory.
Culture vulture.
That's a new one. What's that about? What is that? Is that you just take snippets of culture that's relevant at the current time?
Or popular? Yeah, what's popping right now? And everybody's like, is this kind of like
Megan Thee Stallion or whatever she's popular right now?
Yes.
Well, they're saying
she's like the new Cardi B.
No, you're about to get us like
Cardi B
fucking. I am not getting some. No, look. First of all, they're two different.
It was like Snooki, Cardi B.
Stop it. They're two different rappers. She's not the new Cardi B.
Obviously, they're two different rappers. They're two different people.
But you can't be the new Cardi B. That's like saying you're like the new Biggie. You can't. There's no new Biggie. Biggie was Biggie.
There will be one eventually.
Stop. You guys are some bullshit. Stop with that.
There needs to be a new Biggie. We're rap is
okay, but Biggie's dead, and that's part of the reason there can't be a new Biggie.
You can't. I mean, Cardi B and
there can be a new Spider-Man. There can be a new Biggie.
I broke Andre with that comment right there. No, look, you're right. I understand. Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion are not the same. The only reason that I really associate them with themselves is because that was the first time I ever heard of Megan Thee Stallion was when she did the joint with Cardi B, and so that's it for me. Like that's all the reference I really have.
What joint did they do?
If I remember.
Say it. It was Wet as Pussy. Wet as Pussy.
Was it WAP? I was thinking that in my head, but I was hoping it was wrong.
Wet as Pussy. Okay. So,
and I was a big Cardi B fan there for like a year.
I still am. I think she's dope. She's Dominican. She's from part Dominican, part Trinidadian, if that's a thing.
Does that mean she's also part Tobagoan? Tobagoan?
I know. The part that's important to me is she's part.
Sounds like we're making things up.
She's part Dominican. Yeah, we are. But I do I give them both their props. I don't know any Megan Thee Stallion songs, but Cardi B is dope. I think she's a dope person. Like
what makes her a stallion?
I don't know, man. Could be those thighs. But my point, my point being is that I think that the culture vulture part of our society wants it and it comes from white people. They want to say, "Oh, this is popping right now." I'm sorry. Yo, we gave you thick, and all of a sudden you started stop liking the crackhead skinny chicks that didn't eat anything but salads.
You're welcome.
You are welcome.
I think Disney really wants this She-Hulk show to be culturally valuable because they even go down this subscription service where they're lowering. They put it the whole $1 for a month.
Yeah.
But here's my question: Are you trying to attract a certain demographic, or what I like to affectionately call a demo? Are you trying to say you want women to watch the show? for certain reasons where you're talking about women's empowerment, blah, 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 or you're trying to get guys to look at eye candy. And I think that's a slippery slope where like they have to, it's like, look, you don't want to be a culture vulture, right? So if Megan Thee Stallion's role in that episode would have been like better, because I thought it was kind of cheap, if I'm being super honest, you know. Like,
yeah, that's one note. It's just special guest of the day.
I didn't dig that. So you get like a different demo to watch. She's twerking, although twerking is like for me is like super old. So like people are still on the twerk train. I'm like, you know, we stopped doing that a long time ago. It's just like white people took the word woke and like, fucked it up. Now, like I won't even use that shit. So woke for me was around
twice.
Well, I'm saying like you guys fucked it up. But my point being is that But I also think that having a legit, strong female character is important. And She-Hulk has been one of the bedrocks of the Marvel Universe.
She's arguably the strongest.
Well, it's not arguable. Well, actually, Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel is
She
can deadlift a literal ton.
Until Captain Marvel got a magical power increase.
I did really enjoy the scene, like her dating as She-Hulk was pretty hilarious.
That was painful for me.
The doctor, what is it? The pediatric oncologist.
I'm going through that now, so that was just painful for me to watch. I was like,
yeah, I'm sorry, Joe. I can understand why that would bring up some rough. All you gotta do is Hulk out, and
I wish.
I know, right?
No, dude, I don't think you guys know this. TikTok's going crazy for She-Hulk.
It should.
They put a filter where you can make yourself green.
So what are you waiting for?
And it's artificially enhanced, you know, and it works very well. So there's tons of women doing the She-Hulk thing online for mixed results. Some of them are legitimate. Just I love this character. I'm happy I can put cosplay as her. And then there's a whole lot of OnlyFans women that are just bimboing it up.
But people are gonna do that, and I don't want to say like I don't want to call women out for doing that because dudes be doing some corny shit like that too. Right? I personally think OnlyFans is corny, but if you're trying to get that bag, right?
Joe, have you tried posting a picture of you holding a dead fish that you just caught?
Oh my god!
or holding
I hate
the antlers of a deer that you just shot.
Oh my god, I hate that so much.
I'm just curious.
I made a video on it.
I don't know what's going on.
Some reason guys all over freaking
Tinder and
Bumble and stuff
whatever
are like holding fish, doing generic white people bullshit.
Look at me, I caught this giant fish. Isn't that attractive? Yeah. I can provide for our family. Hunter, gather.
Or they're at the beach with a Bud Light and they're doing the peace sign. I'm like,
are you kidding me?
No, that is what like 90% of men's profiles are.
90% of people's here, and then the opposite of that would be women saying they like going hiking and have pictures of them in a hiking trail.
Oh yeah.
Or they're having pictures with them and their three friends at a bar, and you can't tell which is who because it's all the pictures of that.
It's the least attractive one.
You guys are savage, yo.
Just saying.
These vanilla people need to freaking recognize how like basic they're being and change up their shit.
As two people that had to go through the online dating profile life.
My bio is a character sheet.
Oh, that's clever.
My bio is a fucking character sheet, a D&D style character sheet. And I know I ain't going to attract anybody with a very small niche group.
Well, that's what you're going for.
And that's why I'm going on a date tomorrow.
All right, I don't fucking care about any of this.
Okay, mister, I've been happily married forever now.
Yeah, no. So
I hope I'm
gonna flex that ring.
Live long enough to die married.
I hope you live long enough to die married. Savage.
Okay, we're in some different shit right now. So my point. All right, so I think She-Hulk is dope. Like that's one of the shows I really enjoy looking at. I do think that there's a the ambiguity with like these fictional and fantasies like properties should just be like people let it go, man. But I do think I understand part of the reason why white people are freaking out. There is literally no mythology in the culture for like most white people.
White people?
Yeah, not for white people here in the Western Hemisphere. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no mythology. So when you start taking that away from them, they lose their shit.
Yeah.
Like if it's like.
But how many of these white people, these white men on the internet identify with the Little Mermaid? Right?
It's their mythology. That's
what I don't understand, though. Like,
it's a cornerstone.
It's not like they took Prince Eric away from you.
Dude, can you not watch TV right now, local and or national, and hear about the Queen of England?
I mean, I don't have...
Meanwhile, TikTok's making a lot of jokes about it.
First of all,
it's quality stuff.
We had beef with them a few years ago. We beat that ass. And everybody's like doing a reach around for the Queen of England.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird, don't you think?
I mean, look, I think ultimately, like, where the royal family actually stands in terms of, like, political importance in England
is zero.
And so I think that's part of it. I don't know, man. Like, the whole Queen of England thing, I honestly don't really have an opinion on it one way or the other. I don't, it doesn't affect me, right? Like, I don't, not to sound callous, but I don't care. Like, my day-to-day life has not changed in any way, shape, or form.
It doesn't really affect those people either.
Actually, does in the UK. In the UK, it does affect those people.
Yeah,
because
as Andre's wife put it, Prince Charles or King Charles gives hope for whores.
Huh? Wait, what? Is that what you call his scandals?
Yes.
Wow. Wow. But all right. I don't want to talk about like I don't want to ever talk bad about people that have died.
No,
like that's not my thing. But I will say that in general, right? Colonization didn't help out 2/3 of the people on this podcast.
You tell me, Manifest Destiny didn't make this country great.
I will tell you 100 times over, my friend.
I mean, in a sense, it did because I was born in California, and if it weren't for us going all the way to the opposite coast, then I wouldn't have been born there.
Native land.
No, I think you're right. Like the whole
you're born in California.
I'm sorry. The whole colonization, Manifest Destiny, like we're gonna take what's already belongs to somebody else by showing up and just fucking dominating that shit. Like that's not.
But the domination was typically through disease, not really by warfare.
Yeah, absolutely.
So suck all the bags of dick.
Wow.
White people are gross. Ew.
Fucking sheeps.
Yeah, I mean, apparently we just carry death and disease with us everywhere we go. Yeah, I carry D's with me everywhere I go too. Got
D's nuts.
Oh my god.
I mean, fucking sheeps and
God, that was like literally less than 60 seconds. We went from the Queen of England to D's nuts.
As it should be in all things.
I've been like low key, like I don't want to be disrespectful because somebody lost their mother, people lost their grandmother, people lost their great grandmother. I don't want to be disrespectful, but like I'm over fucking like I don't fucking care. Like I really don't.
She's old. We all know it's gonna happen.
96 is a good run.
Yes.
Shit, goddamn.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
got motherfuckers standing in line for 5 goddamn miles, and it shit's like just taking over. Fucking my weather goddamn report. Give a fuck about your queen.
Yeah.
Like, and they raped Africa. The bitch's crown has got a fucking diamond they stole from South Africa. I mean, how many slaps in the face do you need? And like, how's this fucking planet so blind to the fact that Andre Powell doesn't fucking care about the Queen of England or the fucking royal family? Like, I don't fucking care.
We went in 60 seconds from I don't want to disrespect these people because they just lost this person, but fuck that bitch
but
and
fuck
bitch, motherfucking bitch.
Dude, the only thing
I don't mean it like that. I don't mean it like that though. I'm just kind of like
the only thing I care about is their cuisine routines because they apparently have a royal lineage of pigs. That's the only where they get their sausage from, and I want that pig. I want to taste it.
Is it though? Yo, because And anyway, and you know what? Also, speaking of representation, you know what I don't like? The way people are talking shit about Meghan Markle. I'm not like a Meghan Markle fan, but I just think it's kind of disgusting, and it proves my point about like how white people and their lack of history, and because it's white people in like just history they're like Hobbit people, motherfuckers. They just like travel all over the goddamn continent. They were roaming tribes, right? So if you even think about the foundation of the UK, they were exiles from Rome,
right?
If you think about Germany, if you think about like Denmark, most of those people are the Franks and what eventually became Germany. They were fleeing where these people were populating, and they set up shop wherever they ended up, whether that be Scandinavia, Europe proper, the UK, and it's like you have nothing. You know, most of the people there, like, you know, the UK was fucking they were a bunch of vagrants. Australia was a prison colony.
New Zealand is just Taika Waititi.
Fucking goddamn. Thank you, fucking.
Any other groups of white people out there you'd like to just summarily insult and disparage?
I'm not trying. You know, I'm sorry. I'm on my bullshit now. I mean, it's just like I get it. Like I get it, but I don't think it's the. I understand why it's irritating to see the things that are quote unquote change, and it's uncomfortable. But fucking move on.
Get over it. That's what it really boils down to. Get over it. Recognize that change is inevitable. It's not always comfortable, but it typically means that you're growing in one way or the other, right? Like we don't become better people when we're in incredibly comfortable environments, right?
You're asking everybody else to change and accept the shit that's changing and accepting, but your little snowflake ass is losing your shit.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So on today's episode of Hate White People, what's next?
I think that's it, guys.
I don't hate white people. I'm just kind of I just think it's disingenuous. I think there are some things, like, for example, CRT, for example. All right, I'm going to unload this because you guys are my peoples.
We're your safe space.
And then we're going to publish this on the internet.
Which is also Andre's safe space, apparently.
How do you have such disdain for talking accurately about history while at the same time, in the same breath, you're hiding the facts of history, right? So, globally, we are talking about the Queen of England like she's an important figure, but we're ignoring the things that happened during her sitting on the throne for 70 plus years. I think that's really kind of, it's a hard pill to swallow. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying, like, you can't have it both ways there.
No, there was a lot that she ignored throughout her reign that she could have easily fixed.
She gets Snoop Dogg. She gets Snoop Dogg from being banned from the UK. You know that? So he was about to get banned from the UK, and she stepped in, and she was the one that helped him to not get banned from the UK. There's a clip on the internet that shows that. And I don't want.
What is that with Snoop Dogg and old white women?
Yo,
they love the hell out of him, man.
Got that D. I mean,
that hot D. Got hot D.
So, but I'm saying, so that's where it's like, wow, it's interesting that there's a lot of things that kind of have made me think about this representation thing, right? There's a lot of hypocrisy, whether it's the straw man argument about CRT, whether it's the whitewashing of history with a current monarch that has passed away, or a member of a monarchy that passed away. It's a lot of things where it's like, doesn't anybody think that's questionable? Like, can we not just say, well, does that?
I think it's part of the course.
Okay, then
I think it's something it's been like that my whole life, dude. I'm not surprised to see it.
And that should be sad.
It is. Why do you think I have comic books all over my wall? Find something else that makes you happy.
Well, now you have to filter out the evolution of your comic books that you enjoy to fit in society. That there's going to be pushback for no logical.
I don't filter any of my comics.
No, but I'm saying part of this discussion is about the fact that now we have to filter out that we can't filter every reality. Is my point.
I'm 100 against censorship of any medium. I think comic books as an expression of artistic ideas, it's
and a commentary on society.
It has done more good for humanity than bad. So.
Yeah. Chris is like, do you guys still hate white people?
No, I mean, I know that you guys don't hate white people, and I know that obviously, all of this stuff that we've talked about here today doesn't reflect on me because I don't espouse any of those views. I'm not sitting here being oh, keep Ariel white, and although I am sitting here thinking wow, almost no, every single one of the comics on my wall is just a bunch of white people. So I really need to up my game on that front. But
dude, I have comic books going back from the 1960s. White people in the cover is just a normal.
Yeah, exactly. There's only so much that you can do there. But that's where I think I enjoy these new portrayals of characters or seeing characters that weren't given necessarily a ton of mainstream run previously that are now getting Captain America 4. I'm super excited for that film. I've really enjoyed Ms. Marvel. I really have really liked She-Hulk. Here's
a quick question I got for you, Chris.
Okay.
So a lot of people are wondering where the hell the other Captain America is. Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
And there's been ideas that he may be on the moon, stuff like that. How would you feel if all of a sudden Steve Rogers comes back in the new movie
and takes the shield?
Not takes the shield, just be there. Let's say he acknowledges the fact that shield is because in the listen.
He's like Sam. Do it this way.
Hey, listen. And in the comic books,
Sam's out Steve running, Rogers, and you just hear on your left.
On your left. On your left.
On my left. Got it. Don't say it. Don't you say it.
On your left.
Come on.
That would be hilarious. No, that would be a good. That would be funny. No, that should be the end of the credits thing.
It should be.
Where the movie's over and then that shit happens and everybody loses their mind. What the fuck? No, so in the comic books,
we just hijacked your whole thought.
No, it isn't. You didn't actually. So in the comic books, Steve Rogers loses his powers, gives the shield up, and he's known as just Steve Rogers.
Old Man Steve.
Yeah, there's even Agent Steve Rogers part, and then Old Man Steve, all that. So, if he were to come back in that movie, even in a small way, as just being the guy with the holographic shield and all that, would you think that would undermine what Captain America and the Winter Soldier did?
That's a good question.
I would say that
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That Steve Rogers being in Captain America 4 would be the only reason I would ever go see that movie. No, I'm joking.
I was like, God,
I thought it sounded like that'd be a joke.
God damn,
Joe.
You delivered that so well.
My straight
We're
face
about to rip that color card from you, bro.
No, I wouldn't have an issue with it.
Run for politics with that.
Obviously,
shit.
It depends on how it's played. I could see. To some degree where because there was a lot in Falcon and Winter Soldier where it was am I the real Captain America? This shield doesn't feel like it's mine and all that stuff. And it felt like he kind of came to terms with that at the end where he's just I have to embrace it if that's what I want to be. And so I don't know.
I have to embrace it not just for me, but for others.
I wouldn't necessarily want to see Steve Rogers come back and be like, hey, America, this is Captain America. Signed by Steve Rogers. I don't think you need his endorsement necessarily, but I wouldn't have an issue with him showing up. I don't know. I don't know how you would do that though. He was at the end of Endgame, and it was basically I know that they weren't he died there right there, but it was kind of all right, well, he doesn't have much more left.
Well, I mean, you'll still have 80 years of timeline that he could be a part of outside of the fact.
So, but I think what Chris is saying is like he's not attached to the mythology, and I think that's probably what a lot of people are like clinging to.
But
I think
guess,
that's
like,
a big issue. It's
my
like,
question
look,
is for you guys, like, isn't that in the comics though? Like this transition.
it is.
So like, where is that? Why
there's
is
a lot
that
of
an
people.
issue?
There's a lot of people. There are a lot of people that did not think that like Sam should have become Cap.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people that they still thought it should have been Bucky. It goes back.
I don't think you'd be surprised to know that I was in that band.
No, obviously. I mean,
Really? You thought it should have been Bucky?
I thought Bucky Cap was the best iteration of Captain America, alternate Captain America ever. Like, even now, as I accept Falcon as the Captain America, I love what he did in the show, and I have a bunch of new graphic novels with his stories just focusing on him, and they're good. But at the end of the day, Cap and Buck, that's my bread and butter right there.
yeah, those two white guys.
I could do this all day.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know that we can add any more to it at that point, ladies and gentlemen.
So we're super glad you joined us. Sorry that the Peruvian's racist.
Those Peruvians are historically racist.
You're Peruvian and Mexican, right?
He's not Mexican.
Oh, asshole. Peruvian. You did that on purpose. Puerto Rican, man. Jesus, get it right. White Puerto Rican, Peruvian. God.
Damn.
I don't claim Mexicans.
Stop.
Whoa!
I'm not doing that. I'm not co-signing that shit. Well, that's got to be a bleep because that's not going to fly.
Fuck, Chris can say shit like that, but I'm
say?
censored.
Dude, you stretched like you were trying to get like fucking triple on that shit. I'm like, no, sir, no.
Look, I recognize my ground rule single, and I take my base, ladies and gentlemen.
We're super glad you joined us. You can always find more of our stuff, all of our stuff on chrisandandreshow.com. We're on a few of the socials on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Just search for Chris and Andre. We have a lot of fun recording our stuff on riverside.fm for the video and fireside.fm for the audio versions. We're not paid to say that. Just really enjoy sending our money to them every month. And
like an OnlyFans account.
Yeah. Yeah. They're doing okay. So we really appreciate that. You can always send us comments at chrisandandreshow.com. If you want to hit me up, you can send me an email at andre@chrisandandreshow.com, or
you can find me at chris@chrisandandreshow.com.
Swig. And our friend of the show, Joe, here with his latent racist shit.
Yeah, you'll find me in social jail. Social warriors will hunt me down and scalp me.
Yeah, you're going to get yourself canceled. I just hope that we're not like collateral damage and all of that. God.
Just adding a little social spice to the construct.
I have to disown you from the podcast.
I have to say a quick disclaimer. I work with two Mexicans at my job. They're fantastic.
We're bleeping
people.
Everything out that has that
my
word in
best
it.
friends are Mexican.
Yeah, I am not co-signing on that shit. I swear
I had
God.
to use a traditional white man argument. I can't be racist because I have black friends.
Stop. Fuck.
I'm not racist. I dated a black girl.
Yeah, with a bullshit name. I'm about to fact
Angelique's
check.
It's not a bullshit name.
I'm about to fact check that.
No, she dumped me because her friend said you shouldn't date someone who's not black.
No, we're not doing the reverse. No, we're not. We're going to protect my sisters out there. We're not doing that shit right there. Yeah, I'm not co-signing.
So we're not going to talk about somebody's history? We're doing this Queen of England thing?
Whew.
Ooh, that's all right.
Well, anyways.
We're glad you joined us as always. I'm Andre.
And I'm Chris.
We'll talk to you next time.
I hope I make it next episode. It might kill me.
We're going to change the freaking studio record room. Hey guys, it's Chris from the Chris and Andre Show here. Just wanted to say thanks for checking out our show. We hope you enjoyed it. If you would, subscribe, like, make sure to hit the notification bell so you get alerts when we post new videos, and leave a comment with your favorite part of the most recent episode that you watch. We'll see you on the next one.